got one of these silly cat hoodies, and instead of putting a cat in it, I put chickens. Oh my gosh. Tell me that is not the coolest. The last coop y'all saw me build held 10 chickens. It was a compact chicken coop. Check out that video if you want a smaller one. However, in the next 2 videos, I'm gonna be showing you how I built myself a Texas-sized chicken coop. Come inside and check out all the features of my new chicken mansion. On the outside of the coop, I have a drop-down hatch that I'll be able to collect the eggs from. Coming over here, not only a really cute dormer for the door, but also a man door that's wide enough for a wheelbarrow to go in and out, and then of course the automatic chicken door. Coming to the inside, let's go over here first. I have a cabinet for all of the chicken things that I need for dry storage. However, they don't go all the way to the ground so that I don't lose the square footage down here. And I plan on making that their dirt bathing area. I have not only a wide run for all of the chickens, but here I have a man door that has the chicken door that can block off in winter to keep in their body heat. Coming in here, I have roosting bars on the right as well as the back wall, and then nesting boxes all along here. I also have room below in order to add more nesting boxes should I want. Along the top, I have ventilation, but also custom cut panels to, again, insulate this area during winter time. Then, last feature up there on the top, have an attic fan for those summer months in order to really create good circulation.
Now let's get into how I built it.
All right, so step 1 is to get the pavers nice and level. You can see once I picked my spot, that's going to be the low side, this is going to be the high side, but putting a straight line from here over to that one, they are level with each other. Then it was doing the bottom plates, which is 2 2x6s nailed together. Now I'm going to go ahead and pre-paint everything that I can before assembling it. Do you have a set of plans for this that comes with the cut list? I absolutely recommend cutting everything for the walls first, painting them, and then throwing them together.
Once the paint was drying, I moved inside to start building the trusses. The plans are designed so you can make the coop as large or as small as you want. For my size, I need a handful, but they are nice and simple to put together.
I'm going to start here and give you a visual of the truss. This is what we're going after. Since I'm cutting so many of these, the way that I've set it up to make it efficient is I've staged all my material here so that I can pick up a 2x4 and bring it over to my miter saw. Here, I'm cutting the board at a 45, which will make up my 2 sides by just flipping one or the other. Then I'm going to reset the miter saw to a 90 and cut each board to its actual length needed. Now, in order to get the bird's mouth at the very end, most people just do this with the circular saw. But however, I really want to go for speed here, so I set up something at the table saw to make knocking these out quicker. I set up a stop block so that I can take each one of my rafters, run it through until the end hits the stop block, and then this gives me this nice long straight cut. Then I'm going to go back to the miter saw, set it to the angle, and finish this out in order to get the completed bird's mouth. Know that if you're not comfortable using the table saw like this, you can absolutely do this with the circular saw.
This step goes quickly by doing it all in batches. I took the first step of cutting the studs to length at the miter, then passed them to Jacob to cut the bird's mouth at the table saw. Then I would batch out the finished cut for the mouth.
Now that everything is cut for the trusses, to start assembling things, what I did is grab 2 of the rafters and make sure that the 45 is mated up properly, and then I went in with a framing nailer on both ends. Now we have a pencil mark on the ground so that I can line up my corner and Jacob can line up his corner. And this is so that if you can imagine the peak is like this, you can go in or out, and what we want to do is make sure that this is at the angle that we need it repeatedly over all 10, and then that way we can lock that angle in using this collar tie, which comes next. So I'm going to pin my corner, Jacob's pinning his, and this one came out good. We didn't have to move it, but if we had to pull it in or flex it out, then the collar tie would be holding its position. And then we just rinse and repeat. One, 2, 3, 4, and then if you come out this way, we already have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out here. The difference with these trusses is that they have a collar tie on either end, and I'll get into that whenever we start throwing trusses in the air.
With the trusses done, next I moved on to building the walls.
For framing up the walls, again, I absolutely recommend repainting anything that needs to get painted so that you're just ready to throw it together. Now this is gonna be the bottom plate. It's 2 boards nailed together, and then this is gonna be the top plate. In order to make this go quick and come out even, is you can go through and mark where your studs need to be on both members before picking up the top plate and separating the two. Now I'm gonna go through with my framing nailer and attach the studs to the top plate as well as the bottom plate by toe nailing them. If you don't have a framing nailer, know that you can use a pre-drill and drill with regular screws in order to attach the studs. It's just gonna take longer. All right, remember that this is the inside because it has the lip over here. And before, whenever I was putting this together, I did 1 nail up just to tack this bottom into place. Now I'm actually gonna come back and toe nail along the side in order to secure the studs more. Now that I've secured the studs more, I'm gonna flip it, and this is where the chicken wire will go down. You wanna touch the chicken wire to the outside because if predators try to get in, they're gonna be pushing against the fasteners. Whereas if you attach it from the other side, not only do you lose the spacing in the wall, but also they might be able to push the fasteners out. On the clothing options, know that whenever you go to the store, you're probably going to see 2 different options. One is called hardware cloth, but this is actually called poultry netting. The way that I'm attaching it is I'm simply unrolling it along the studs, and this is designed in order to make the most use of this material, and then using a crown stapler to attach it. This step goes so much easier if you have 2 people, because then one can be fastening it while the other one is stretching it, making sure it doesn't have any whoops in it.
Oh, correction here. Do not buy this poultry wiring you see me using. I found out after that it's actually intended to confine chickens to an area, but it is not suitable for keeping predators out. So things like dogs, raccoons, and coyotes can tear right through the stuff with ease. I'm gonna have to go back and reinforce my walls with hardware cloth. But if you're building a coop, then it's the same process that I'm using, but you wanna use hardware cloth and not chicken wire. For the walls making up the coop, we lay down siding, and my choice for that is T111.
Yeah, this T111 for siding is super easy because it's this tongue and groove that you just want to make sure that as you're cutting the material, you're taking into account the tongue and groove so that in this case you need 2 pieces, but they're going to overlap seamlessly. So now that this wall is built, any of the walls with this siding where it's this top, now I'm gonna flip it over and attach this to the backside just to prevent this from being getting to the chicken area. So since we're dealing with rain, I'm gonna paint the T111 while Jacob builds the next wall. But everything at this point is rinse and repeat until we have all walls, and then we'll be able to start sanding it up if the rain stops.
I love building as much as I can while the wall is flat and on the ground. It does make for a heavy load to carry, but it's a short distance.
So the idea is to put up this wall, we're gonna brace it, then we'll put up this wall and brace it, and then we're gonna work our way that way.
Okay.
Whew. Lord have mercy. Yep, looks great. So what I just did here is plumb this wall. We have a brace set on this wall, and then Jake screwed it to that one as soon as this one was plumbed. This way we can go. Okay. Whenever I'm setting these trusses, see how this shoulder is not seated all the way? I don't want to do that. I want to make sure I move the wall so that it's seated all the way. So all of this is going to be the coop portion, and it's going to have the sheathing on it. So when I set this truss, this is going to be another truss that just has a single collar tie. And I'm going to make sure to put it on the inside. The thing is like, regardless if you model projects ahead, which we always do, there's always going to be situational things that you have to figure out. And in this case, we were supposed to be running a board from here to here. That's going to be the separating the run from the coop. However, since the grading of my land puts that board up here, it would create a step into the coop.
which I don't want to have. And so we're just trying to like figure out a workaround that still ties these two walls together here without creating that step. So what we came up with is putting the board as down low as possible from here to there, not having it contact the ground. And then Jake's gonna run diagonals from the wall down. So Jake is building the door with the solution that we talked about. This 2x6 is our makeshift way to be able to span in between the two walls. And then the upright 2x6 is going to give him meat in order to secure the diagonals too. So in the plans, I'm going to give a regular member, but know that if you have some height to compensate for, then this is a great alternative.
I love it when things work out.
With the doorway in, next we're going to be able to come back and put the sheathing on the walls. What I'm trying to do is create a coop so that during winter I can close it off as much as possible so that they could get in here and get warm. But then this is open for ventilation so that during the summer months we can have some nice air moving through as well. In order to get the corners on this predator apron, leave it overhanging like this, and then this side will overlap it out. Now that we have this end gable framed in, now we're going to be able to add siding. Siding, I decided to go with vertical, so we're going to go pow vertical. We're also going to frame out the door of the coop, and then we can go to the opposite gable where there's going to be dry storage cabinet. Sheathe that in as well. We're just going to be using the crown stapler here to tack it into place, and then I'll come back. I don't have a short framing nails, so I'll have to go get some. Ow. On these guys, since they're a little bit smaller, one, they're cut in order to fit around the framing and the pavers over here, so that what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold it up, and then since these are lightweight partial pieces, Jake's going to get up there, trace that angle, and then cut it down here.
Looks lovely down there. Pin it.
Now, over on this side of the coop, I really wanted some dry storage inside of the run. This will house things like food and bedding and treats. So I'm gonna go ahead and start on that framework. This is elevated off the ground just so that it doesn't touch any moisture. And it starts off with framing, of course.
Nope. Yeah.
We're just eyeballing a reveal here on all four sides.
Looks good. Yeah.
Ready? This is a great method for building doors. The idea is that you put the framing in place, then sheathe the entire face. Then I used a small drill bit from the other side to punch through at each corner. This will allow us to connect the dots so that then we can cut the opening using a circular saw. However, before cutting the remaining bits in the corner left by the circular saw, I put on hinges. After the hinges are mounted, then you can finish cutting the corners and have fully functioning doors. Continuing on with the roof structure, what I'm working on right now is creating the dormer, which is going to be the doorway roof line. What I really wanted was to have the doorway at a perpendicular angle from the existing roof line. Know that you could absolutely simplify this by putting a doorway at either gable end of the chicken coop, but this is completely achievable. So if you want to make a cute little dormer, check out the plans. Ready? Boop. That means good.
Tell me that's not cute! So this is what I mean by perpendicular. This is perpendicular to the existing roof line. Boop, creates a little cute bump out. Yeah, let's go!
Okay, now let's move to the roof.
These are something called purlins. And what these are gonna do is lock together the roof trusses to each other. And it's just gonna be way easier if I go through and mark 2-foot centers here before I'm up in the air. What you don't wanna do is just start nailing them up there because the trusses could be like this. And so you wanna be perfectly parallel to one another. And the way that you do that is making sure you can either pull a tape once you're up in the air, 2 feet at the ridge all the way down to the eave, or you can do something like this where you're marking it out for yourself and then just aligning the truss to the X's once you're up there. So what the chalk line does is it gives me the placement for up and down. With both of these lines, before I even get on a ladder, I just be able to pow, 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 pow once I'm up here. So this is a really great example. And as I'm moving around, I am just plumbing up these trusses by putting it to that X that I made on the ground. So in this case, I need this purlin to be halfway on this stud. And then rinse and repeat. That's not bad for an afternoon's worth of work, because we got rained out this morning. So let's see, dormer's done. Put on another fly rafter, flashing on the dormer, and then tomorrow morning we'll be able to start laying down shingles and then do the finish work for the roosting bars, the nesting boxes, finish out the sliding door cabinet, build out the door. Still quite a few steps. And then I can get chickens. All right, stay tuned for part 2 where I complete the chicken coop and get it to this point that you see. Don't forget, if you want to build your own, I do have a set of plans, not only for this one, but the 2 previous coops I've built that are different sizes. I'm also going to be releasing a set of plans for this one that takes out this complicated dormer and instead makes a gable end door. So if you want a chicken coop but are a beginner DIYer, be looking for that set of plans. I cannot wait to show you my chickens. I'll see you on part 2, guys.